Good evening. My name is Ashley Johnson, and I am presenting my final today, the Real World Financial Statement Analysis Oral Presentation for Business Class 627 Financial Statement Analysis. And today I'm going to be presenting on Apple. And so I'm going to provide you with an overview of Apple's Q2 of 2021. For their second quarter of 2021, their total net sales were $89.5 billion. Their total cost of sales was $51.5 billion, which really equaled out to have their gross margin to about $38 billion. And their total operating expense was around $10.5 billion, which brought their net income roughly around $23.6 billion. And so I think it's really important to understand that with Apple, their primary revenue comes from certain categories. It is a tech company, and so I've broken down here the net sales by category. They are very dependent on iPhone sales. It leads the pack with $47.9 billion in sales in Q2 alone. And then right behind them, in second place, behind the iPhone, is the services that Apple provides, like their iCloud services and things like that, which comes in at $16.9 billion. That's a huge gap. And it's something that's really important to take notice of. And then leading out the rest of their categories is their Mac computers and laptops. It comes in at 9.1 billion. The iPad, it comes in at 7.8 billion. And their wearables, their home technology and accessories, that come in at 7.8 million as well. And all of this information was pulled from the 10Q form for Q2. And so we're moving on to Apple's strengths. So of course we all know they have a very, very valuable brand. Everyone knows who Apple is. It's globally recognizable around the world. It is a very successful business. It is a top tier technological and innovative company, and they have a very loyal customer base and have for a really long time. But that also leads us into their weaknesses. And one of those weaknesses is that global smartphone market share is shrinking. When you look back at that previous slide and you see where $47 billion comes from iPhones, and you see all of these smartphone companies that are bringing in the same technology or better technology, where they're releasing phones just as quickly as Apple, it has to bring a little bit of worry and concern as an investor and a stockholder. And that leads to the fact that Apple has become very over-reliant on iPhone revenue. Whenever their second big revenue generator is their services, their cloud, their iCloud and things like that, where it's coming in at $16 billion compared to the $47 billion that iPhone brings in. There's nothing in there to give it cushion as their iPhone market starts to shrink. And then finally, one of their biggest weaknesses is the fact that over the last decade, they've had very few successful, innovative products. And when you look at a competitor to Apple like Google, for example, who have products everywhere in all types of technological industries, that has to be very concerning. Apple has to be more than just a phone company, which they have been, with their wearables, their computers, their iPads, but continuing to bring innovation to technology is going to be very key for them, and not being over-reliant on the iPhone revenue. And so we move into Apple trends. So a positive trend with Apple is their service category is starting to pick up and bring in more and more revenue, which is going to be key. I mean, when your top competitor is Google, and their service revenue is massive. You look at Amazon, whose service revenue is massive. It's definitely a place of strength, and it's definitely a place where there's growth and desire to be had there. Another trend is that Apple is continuing to grow their international business, growing in Europe and China. And that's going to be key to continue to grow that business. It's going to offset, as I touched on in the paper, it's going to offset those taxes that they're paying as well, the more growth that they have internationally. And then a huge negative trend that's kind of been happening with Apple over the past few years is they're carrying a lot of large amounts of debt. And that has to be concerning to a stockholder and any type of potential investor that is looking at potentially investing in Apple, which is, clearly one of the biggest and most profitable companies today, with them carrying larger and larger amounts of debt. That has to definitely bring forth a little bit of concern. But thank you again for your time today, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.